Good morning. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm April Williams, and this is Daily Dose Live. Dynamic direction for a successful life. It's your morning motivation that will not waste your time. Excuse the delay in broadcast. I had some technical difficulties this morning, but I'm coming to you live with some motivation that'll get your day started. Thank you for joining me today. So how you express yourself will determine how others will respond to you. Do you want to express yourself? Do you want to communicate with clarity and power? Can you tell your story with clarity? How you express yourself is so important. So we've talked about, that you deserve to be heard. On Monday we talked about you deserve to be heard. Good morning, Chauncey. And we've also thought about situations in which you need to express yourself or share a concern. And we thought about those specific situations, but now what? Now what do you do? How you express yourself will determine how others will respond, and it will steer the direction of the conversation. Clarity is so important. This morning, about 6:15, I woke up to really loud owl calls. This is the typical season for owls to do their mating calls, late winter, early spring. And in South Carolina, in my area, I have about 3 owls that you will see: the screech owl, the great horned owl, and the barred owl. This was a great horned owl. The barred owl is the typical whoo, 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 but this wasn't that. This was the great horned owl. So I heard him at first, and he was all alone. I didn't hear any answer, and I thought, that poor owl out there hooped and no answer. So then after about 15 minutes, I heard a response, and then the responses became louder and closer, so the owls were communicating and making a connection. The owls were giving a very distinctive sound, and that's how we connect. How many times do we give an indistinct sound, a communication that's not clear, and we're expecting connection, and you're not going to connect with indistinct sounds. If those owls gave other calls, they would never attract the other owls because the male or female wouldn't recognize who was calling. So it's so important to give a distinct sound, a sound of clarity. So important. So how you express yourself is so important. Can you tell your story with clarity? So you can't pride yourself. No, it's not just important to be honest and blunt and have candor. Some people pride themselves on, I just say what I think. Well, you can't pride yourself on your blunt honesty when you're leaving casualties behind your careless comments. How you say it is so important. So in this book, Difficult Conversations, you need this book. If you don't read any other book on communication, you need to read this one, Difficult Conversations, Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen. Very good book. I love it. They give this formula, this me formula. And this recognizes each aspect of the conversation that is important, and this makes the communication clear and accurate. So they give this me, I call it the me formula. They call it me, and. So when you're trying to talk to someone about an important issue, they give examples. So it's clear and accurate. So here's an example. I do think you are bright and talented, and I think you're not working hard enough. I do think you are bright and talented, and I think you're not working hard enough. So me, and. So you're adding, instead of just saying you're lazy, you're not working hard enough, you add, I think you're bright and talented. Here's another one. I feel badly for how things are rough for you right now, and I'm feeling disappointed in you. Here's another example. I'm upset with myself for not noticing that you were so lonely, and I also was having problems during that time. So me, and. It's useful for overcoming a common obstacle to starting a difficult conversation, the fear of being misunderstood. So we often are afraid to say anything because we're afraid that it's going to immediately be misunderstood. So the me, and. Me, and. It begins the conversation with how the focus is on me. It's not just on the other person. It's not just, I'm so disappointed in you right now. But it's, I do think you're bright and talented, and I think that you're not working hard enough. So important. How you say what you need to say, how you phrase it is going to steer how the conversation is going to go. And that is so important. So think about this today, the me, and formula for starting a difficult conversation. It recognizes each aspect of the conversation and gets to the heart of the matter. I do think you are bright and talented, and so it's so important to say what matters. We often talk about everything else in the world over and over again, but we do not talk about the heart of the matter. So here's your moment for this morning. This is your morning moment. Think of a situation in which you expressed yourself. Recently, in the past, think of a situation in which you expressed yourself. How did the other person respond? How did the other person respond? And could you have used the me, and formula and maybe steered the conversation in a different direction? So your moment for this morning, think of a situation in which you expressed yourself. How did the person respond? Could you have used the me, and formula in that situation? And that is your daily dose. So important to express yourself with clarity and power. Thank you for joining me today. Hey, like and share today. Like and share today with at least 5 people that you know that needs to hear this message. Also share on the other social media outlets. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can email me at mydailydoselive@gmail.com, mydailydoselive@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And probably in the comments in a little bit, I'm going to drop a YouTube video so you can hear what a great horned owl call sounds like. Love birds. I'm so fascinated by them. They give a distinctive call when they want a certain response. So if we don't give distinctive calls, if we don't communicate clearly, we won't get the response that we're looking for. So I'm going to drop that in the comments later just so you can hear it if you're not familiar with it. So fascinating. Hey, also join me tomorrow. I'm going to wrap it up on communication, talking about communicating with clarity and power. So important for us to do that. And I want to give you skills and tools to put in your toolkit so you can communicate effectively. I'm April Williams, and that is Daily Dose.